Have you ever loved a series so much that, among your friends and family, you became synonymous with it? This describes my relationship with the almost 35-year-old manga and anime series Yu Yu Hakusho. It's a story of Yusuke Urameshi, a delinquent who dies attempting to save a child from being hit by a car. Soon after which he is brought back to life and told he now has to be spirit detective of the earth, whose job it is to hunt down and eliminate demons and ghouls and ghosts and goblins. It starts out silly and more episodic, but soon enters greater threats that take significantly more episodes to defeat. Since watching it for the first time in 2019, I have been unable to stop talking about it. It's to the point where I am recognized for my love of it. I've had coworkers come up to me and say, "Bruh, I started rewatching Yu Yu Hakusho because of you." I've met friends of friends for the first time and had them say to me, "Oh, you're the Yu Yu Hakusho guy."
The pleasure's mine.
33% of my wardrobe is Yu Yu Hakusho related. I own the manga 3 times, once in English, once in the original Japanese Tonkobon volumes, and I recently acquired this beautiful Bunkobon box set of the series. I own the anime on Blu-ray twice, plus some additional VHS tapes. I own this PS2 game. I even own... What is this? Yu Yu Hakusho Sunset Fighters? For the Sega Mega Gena Drive? Sis? And who is Tec Toy? Tec Toy is a Brazilian toy and technology company, hence the name. Founded in September 1987, they cut their teeth by bringing a Sega-made Japanese laser tag toy based on the anime Zillion to Brazil, before earning Sega's trust and being given the license to produce Sega Master Systems for the Brazilian market in 1989. Quickly, they dominated the competition, at one point owning roughly 80% of the video game market share in Brazil, easily beating out Nintendo when they tried to make a push over there in 1993. The Master System and Mega Drive outlived every other console in Brazil, technically still being produced to this day, primarily as plug-and-play systems, thus creating a bizarro world where people say, "Zelda? Mario? Sorry, I never played those as a kid. I grew up with Dynamite Ducks and Bonanza Bros." Tec Toy would keep these systems alive by a variety of means. They would port Game Gear games over to the Master System, for example, Mortal Kombat 3 and Sonic Blast. They would also create new games. A good example being in 1997 when Duke Nukem 3D was so popular they decided to make a Mega Drive port themselves, which is not great, but barely manages to edge out the Tiger Gamecom port. It's fucking terrible. Lastly, they would, of course, translate already existing games to Portuguese. Naturally, this makes up a bulk of Tec Toy's library, but there are only so many classic Sega games you can translate before you start scraping the bottom of the barrel. And in 1999, Tec Toy had reached that bottom. A random anime license game from 5 years prior.
Yeah, wouldn't you know it's a fighting game when my turn comes up? I'm feeling lucky, old lady, fortune tapping at my elbow.
Yu Yu Hakusho Makyo Toitsu-sen, or Yu Yu Hakusho Battle to Unite the Demon Plane, was released for the Mega Drive in Japan on September 30th, 1994. It was released as Yu Yu Hakusho Sunset Fighters in Brazil around December 1999, just 3 months ahead of the PlayStation 2! I will henceforth refer to it as Sunset Fighters for short, since that's the version I played, and also, let's be real, it's the quickest way to say this game's name. Sunset Fighters is a 2D fighting game developed by legendary studio Treasure, who made it hot off the heels of the much-lauded Gunstar Heroes just 1 year prior. Appearing deceptively simple at first, Yu Yu Hakusho has a lot of little tricks up its sleeve to make it quite unique, especially for its time. One of its main features is a lane switching system, which functions similarly to the Fatal Fury games. There's a front plane and a back plane to battle on, and opponents on one plane can't hit someone on the other. All you have to do to swap planes is push the Y button on a 6-button Mega Drive controller. Don't ask me how to switch planes on a 3-button controller, I won't torture myself. The game also uses an energy system. Essentially, anytime you use a special move, your spirit energy meter at the top of the screen depletes. In order to restore it, just hold down one of the 2 attack buttons for a second, and your character will stand still and slowly charge their meter. In a game where every character has a trap move or a super strong projectile, this, and the ability to switch lanes instantly, did a lot to prevent any ability spamming. Some interesting quirks of Sunset Fighters are that you can't just hold back to block like in almost every other fighting game. This is one of the only 2D fighters I've ever played to use a dedicated block button, which is insanely hard to get used to. Also, your character is never made to automatically face the opponent like is typical in fighting games. You have to manually turn towards the opponent if you get behind them. This issue actually wasn't hard to get used to, and the game has good reasons to function this way that I'll explain later. There are a total of 11 playable characters in Sunset Fighters, which I will now begin to closely examine. When this game came out in Japan, the anime had only just entered the final arc, the Three Kings Saga, so this game only adapts up to the end of the semi-final arc, the Chapter Black Saga. This means that, unfortunately, characters like Yomi, Raizen, and Mukuro aren't present. First up is, of course, the main protagonist of the series, Yusuke Gotomeshi. I'm sorry.
You don't get it. I can't waste time on you. You're too easy.
Yusuke's signature move, the Spirit Gun, is here in full force. It can be released immediately or charged for significantly increased damage. He can also use the Spirit Gun in the air, though it can't be charged. His Spirit Shotgun technique is here too, another technique he used frequently in the series. It's like a very short-range barrage attack that hits about 3 times. Unfortunately, this move is severely outclassed by a similar move another character has that I'll talk about shortly. Yusuke's last normal move is a rapid punching ability activated by spamming an attack button. It's just okay. In order to get it to work, you have to jump into it, or else you'll immediately hit them out of it. Lastly, every character in Sunset Fighters has a special super move called a Desperation move, which can only be used when you have almost max spirit energy and are at a little under half health. You can tell you've met the requirements for Desperation in that meter by whether the letter next to the gauge is flashing or not. Yusuke's Desperation move is simply a rush of attacks before ending with a big Spirit Gun. It does pretty good damage and looks flashy, but for me, it leaves something to be desired. This game clearly adapts stuff from the end of the Chapter Black arc, and to avoid spoilers, I'll just say Yusuke does something cool at the end of that arc that I would have much preferred be his Desperation move. Wink wink, nudge nudge, there's a Funko Pop of it that was exclusive to Hot Topic.
A mulberry is a tree, Kuwabara is a man, and I'll prove it.
Next up is the deuteragonist of the series, Kazuma Kuwabara. Kuwabara's basic attacks are all punches and kicks, but pressing both attack buttons at the same time has him swing his iconic Spirit Sword. He has a gap closing move where he charges forward with his Spirit Sword as well. There are a lot of moves like this in the game, and this is unfortunately one of the weaker ones. It's very easily telegraphed and doesn't do enough damage to justify that. Kuwabara also has a move that's a spray of projectiles. I didn't remember it, but he actually used this against Elder Toguro in the Dark Tournament. They don't travel very far, so this works best at very close range, but not too close or you'll send them behind the opponent. If you get the spacing right though, it does pretty good damage. Kuwabara's last normal move is surprisingly his dimension slicing sword, the Jigen-To. Depending on what attack button you use with the input, it will pop through at different ranges and slash the opponent a few times. It's a great spacing tool for him, but I'm surprised it wasn't his Desperation move. His actual Desperation move is an entirely stationary 11-hit combo, which does good damage but can be rather difficult to land.
I thought you'd know better than to corner an animal like a fox, Karasu.
Kurama is another member of the main cast of the show. His whole thing in both Sunset Fighters and the original series is that he uses plants to fight. Like Kuwabara, most of his neutral moves are simple punches and kicks, but pressing both attack buttons as him will have him flail his signature Rose Whip. He also has a move where he can throw a single rose, and it does almost as much damage as when Dudley does it in Street Fighter 3. Kurama also has a beautiful spin move where he is surrounded by rose petals, but another character has a similar move that is much better in every way. Similar to Kuwabara's Jigen-To move, Kurama can summon a plant from the ground at varying distances. This is one of his better moves, and you'll see his CPU spam this one a lot. And finally, his Desperation move has him turn into his true form, Yoko Kurama, and charge forward while holding a green thing. I believe this green thing is supposed to be his death tree that he uses to defeat Urashima in the Dark Tournament arc, and yeah, it's pretty good. Probably one of the better Desperation moves in the game. Pretty good range and damage. It's very difficult to dodge too.
Who am I to turn down a fan's request? Just remember, you brought this upon yourself.
Hiei is the #1 aura farmer in the series, and one of the more powerful characters in this game. He has crazy mobility, being able to teleport if you spam a direction enough. He's got fast acting, high damaging moves, and he hops around the screen like a fucking maniac. Pressing both attack buttons has Hiei swing his Sword of Darkness Flame, probably his slowest move. It has nice knockback and decent damage though. Fist of the Mortal Flame has Hiei dash forward and punch a whole bunch. It's very quick, has multiple opportunities to hit, and is just very fun to use. Look at him slide across the screen back and forth. Whee! This move can be done in the air too, but he just stays still. Hiei also has a sick mobility move where he jumps into the air and homes in on the enemy. And if you press an attack button during this, he'll swing his sword. Hiei's desperation move is, of course, the legendary Dragon of the Darkness Flame!
You know it's impossible to control it completely.
This move is a giant projectile with full control of where it goes. It looks great and does good damage. Pretty cool, right? No, because if you use this desperation move like this, you're stupid. The real trick is to fire it and then circle it around back into yourself. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the only install move in this game, giving you significantly increased speed and damage until your spirit gauge runs out. If you use the move this way, you can't use it again for the whole match. But it's worth it because you'll probably finish the fight before the install even ends. Also, this is literally a dragon install 4 years before the dragon install came out.
If I'd had more time, I would have taken that big ugly grin off your face too.
Genkai is Yusuke's mentor in the series, and thus plays extremely similarly to him. But I think she's just a little bit teensy-weensy better. Her spirit gun is the same, and her shotgun is a straight upgrade from Yusuke's. Her rapid punch is a little worse, but she more than makes up for it by having a gap-closing uppercut move that she can also use in the air! Plus, she has a double jump. Nothing else to say. She's just Yusuke, but a bit better. Yusuke, don't cry, please, man.
Wait a minute. You won't yabber that once I hit my groove.
Chu is a supporting character from the Dark Tournament arc. His big shtick is that he's a master of the Drunken Fist. So in his honor, I've decided to record this segment drunk.
This is the strongest Elky ever made. It's called Ogre Killer.
His quarter circle forward is a chargeable energy ball, very similar to Yusuke and Genkai's Spirit Gun. But I think it's better? Maybe? At the very least, it's more satisfying. He lobs the damn thing like a baseball. It's fucking sick. He also has a rapid punch ability similar to Yusuke and Genkai's. Does this make Chu a second clone of Yusuke? Well, he changes things up by saving a sick shoulder bash move that reminds me of Urien from Street Fighter 3. He also has a sick ass dive kick and a smooth dodge move. His desperation move is performed with one of the most difficult inputs in the game, being a quarter circle and then a diagonal up motion.
Oh, god damn it, bitch, why?
It's still not that hard to perform, but it takes a few tries. You're more than rewarded though with a sick combo move finished with a taunt that does damage. She is a strong contender and probably my favorite Yusuke-like, new term I've coined, in the game. Yusuke, come on man, stop crying please. Okay, now let me sober up. Jin is Irish.
I thought I was crazy, Urameshi, but you take the prize. The hell was that? You don't make bombs go boom in your face.
Jin's main gimmick is that as long as he has meter, he can air dash and fly as much as he wants. He has this move where he can rush forward with some wind around either one fist or both, depending on what button you press. It looks cool, but is real slow. I don't think I successfully landed this move in arcade mode even once. In contrast, his only other move is stupidly good. Jin turns into a tornado that knocks up the enemy, but if you time it right, you can almost combo it into itself. The CPU will do this a lot. Jin's desperation move is a lot like that move, except he can move while he does it, and it sucks. It doesn't do much damage, and if you don't cancel it by pressing both attack buttons, he'll become dizzy. Just sucks in every possible way.
At last, I will be able to do battle at 100%.
Younger Toguro is one of the most recognizable and beloved characters from Yu Yu Hakusho. He serves as the main antagonist of the Dark Tournament saga. One of younger Togoro's main gimmicks in the series is his ability to fully control how much of his own power he uses, which also affects how he looks. So when he's put into a fighting game, the developers have to make a choice of how they're going to represent him. In this game, he appears in his 100% power form, but I've seen 80% power be done before in like, Jump Force. Toguro is a tough character who hits like a truck. His weakest move is probably his finger flip bullets, which have a very short range for a projectile and don't do that much damage. But the concept is cool. He has two abilities where he charges at the enemy, and an insane dive chop that's difficult to land but looks pretty damn sick. His desperation move is 100% of 100%. Which sounds awesome, but boils down to him transforming and gliding across the screen. It's pretty easy to land and does a lot of damage though.
But we already established that my body does not like to go to pieces, so it doesn't.
Treasure did a great job translating Elder Toguro into a fighting game character, because just like the real thing, he is uncomfortable to look at. All of his moves are so strange, I'm not even sure what practical use this one has.
Your brother's something of a fool.
Yes, it's a bad habit of his.
He can shove his fingers into the ground, he can make one finger slightly longer, and he can even become a sword that flies toward the opponent. His desperation move also has him become a sword, but he spins around real fast this time. This move is also the easiest way to get a max combo in the game. All of this is, of course, accompanied by the best sound design in fighting game history.
Drop ink on the finest snow-white paper and it will inevitably absorb into black.
Itsuki is an interesting choice for this game, because in the series, he doesn't actually fight, but this leads to one of the most interesting movesets in Sunset Fighters. He can teleport and has some dive kicks, but the real meat of his kit is in this one ability. Itsuki has the ability to completely stop and summon two hands that can be remotely controlled and fought with. It's difficult to use in a way that can keep you safe from an opponent for long, but I'm sure a better player could use this move more effectively. Itsuki's desperation move is also very unique. It's the only desperation move that does no damage. All it does is stop time for a couple of seconds. While neat, I don't think you can do much with this other than make some distance between you and the other player, or perform like one combo. I don't see much potential for any crazy setups. He's not like Dio in Heritage for the Future. Last, and most certainly not least, is one of the greatest villains in anime history.
Never satisfied, never full, they eat and destroy with grubby hands until nothing is left but piss.
Sensui is the main villain of the Chapter Black Saga, which is one of my favorite anime arcs of all time. I could gush for hours about him and that arc in general, but we're here to seriously discuss this Genesis game, so let's see how Treasure treated the Black Angel. He sucks. Imagine if you were playing Sagat, and all you could do was spam Tiger Shot high and low while standing in the corner. Wait, that's how most people play Sagat? Sensui is like that. This is all this guy does. He has two other moves, a reversal and a copy of Toguro's finger flip bullets. But that's it. Did they save all the sauce for his desperation move? His desperation move is just a really big version of his projectile that you can also send high or low. I mean, come on, it's just so boring. Why couldn't we had stuff like a move where he slides forward with his fingers out? Or why not a grab where he gives the opponent a handshake before breaking their arm? I would at least expect his desperation move to involve his sacred energy armor. Just so unfortunately boring for such a great character. But I'll end on a compliment. He gets a cool charge up animation that features his sacred energy. And that's all of the characters in Sunset Fighters. Now let's take a look at the stages in the game. I was thoroughly impressed with these. They seem to prioritize locations from the Chapter Black Saga, but hey, that's no problem for me. Of course, they do have the main stage of the Dark Tournament Coliseum, and this forest stage that could be any one of the many forests from throughout the series. You could also fight outside the palace in Spirit World, which is really cool because that's a location from the series typically left unexplored. From Chapter Black, you can fight on top of this cliff where Yusuke fights Hiei, in the cave where Yusuke fights Sensui, in Itsuki's pocket dimension Ura Otoko, at the Kakai barrier, and even in the demon world itself. I thought all of these stages were pretty cool. I really love the wavy effect in Itsuki's stage. I would have liked some more stages from the beginning of the series, like maybe Tarukane's arena from the end of the Spirit Detective Saga, or outside Yusuke's school would have been cool too. But as a Chapter Black fan, I'm satisfied with these stages mostly being from that arc. We've covered the characters and we've covered the stages, but now it's time for the real meat and potatoes of any fighting game. The game modes. The main game mode of Sunset Fighters is, of course, the arcade mode. It's nothing special, but it serves its purpose. In a randomized order, you fight all 11 playable characters in the game, including a mirror match against yourself. At the end, you're met with a black screen with your character of choice doing their victory animation, while the Portuguese word for champion falls from the top of the screen. Except for Elder Toguro. His ending is left untranslated for some reason. Oh, Elder Toguro, you always gotta be different and not normal and different. After that, you get to sit through the credits, which features a nice 16-bit rendition of the anime's third ending theme, An Unbalanced Kiss. Like I said, this arcade mode is nothing special. I would have preferred if this game featured a story mode of any kind, like the Super Nintendo Yu Yu Hakusho games do. Or at least had the matches fixed in a specific order that made sense to the series, but at least functions as a way to play the game single player. Okay guys, I admit it, I've been hiding a secret from you this whole video. Do you remember when I said this earlier? And the game has good reasons to function this way that I'll explain later. Well, it's later, so it's time I reveal Yu Yu Hakusho Sunset Fighters' scary secret.
Sorry to inform you so late.
This is a 4-player 2D fighter. That's right, that's why there are 2 lanes, and manual blocking, and no auto direction corrections. It's because you can have 4 people all duke it out at once, with minimal slowdown. Wow, that is the second thing this game did before Guilty Gear. You can do 2v2 battles, 3v1 battles, play in a tournament, and you can even do this! How Treasure managed to pull this level of performance out of the Genesis, I will never know. This is ultimately what pulls Sunset Fighters out of being a decent licensed game into an absolute hidden gem on this system. And that's Yu Yu Hakusho Sunset Fighters. As for its legacy, Treasure, the company that developed the game, went on to release the cult classic Guardian Heroes for the Sega Saturn 2 years later. Guardian Heroes is a 2D action RPG beat-em-up that has a lane switching system very similar to Yu Yu Hakusho, so they're often compared. In a 1995 interview for Sega Saturn magazine, the director of both games, Tetsuhiko Kikuchi, had this to say about the similarities between the two games.
No, we weren't attempting to recreate or redo that system, but we did want to keep that fun aspect of Yu Yu Hakusho, which is more about having a blast with your friends rather than winning and losing. So you can think of Guardian Heroes as a more flashy version of that system.
Kikuchi would go on to direct a few more games for Treasure. Rakugaki Showtime for the PS1, Advanced Guardian Heroes for the GBA, and the cancelled Tiny Toons Adventures Defenders of the Universe for the PlayStation 2. In the late 2000s, Treasure released 2 DS games based on Bleach, which both also featured lane switching and 4-player modes. A beautiful passing of the licensed game torch. In Japan, Yu Yu Hakusho was published by Sega themselves, who went on to re-release the game in 2019 as one of 42 games included with the Mega Drive miniature system. Only in Japan though. But look at Yusuke and friends on the back of the box sharing the love with Sonic 2, Comic Zone, and Tetris. Tec Toy went on to do a bunch more stuff, most notably having a big hand in making the Zeebo, which was like the Ouya before the Ouya, which almost bankrupted them. Now, they keep afloat by releasing miniature consoles, and as far as I can tell, none of these have ever included Sunset Fighters. So when I wrote this video, I had searched game lists of Tec Toy's re-released consoles for Yu Yu Hakusho, and I found no written evidence that it had ever been re-released. But as I'm editing, I pull this image of the Super Mega Drive 3, and it has a photo of Yusuke and Jin fighting in the Dark Tournament on the box. So I guess Tec Toy did do their part. They did re-release Yu Yu Hakusho Sunset Fighters. They didn't forget. Thank you, Tec Toy. Lastly, I jokingly mentioned this a second ago, but I cannot end the video without giving it its flowers. Arc System Works released Guilty Gear Isuka in 2003 for the arcade and eventually the PlayStation 2, which has nothing to do with Yu Yu Hakusho, but I point out because they play strikingly similar, although this game had a turning button which just sounds absolutely dreadful. And that's it. Wow. The first good game I've ever reviewed on my channel. I'm feeling a 4 out of 5 limes on this one. It's a lot of fun, especially when we're playing with... Oh, pardon me. I'm getting a call on my Sony Xperia Play mobile phone. Hello? What? They didn't put Koenma in this game? How could they release this game without Koenma?
Wow, thank you for watching. Sorry this video took so long to make and get out there, but I appreciate all of your patience. I have a few people to thank before the video officially ends. Thanks to Ghoul City Online for reading out the quote from Tetsuhiko Kikuchi. Thank you to She Says, because that's his CRT television and his genesis in those live action segments. Thank you to Mimiyori for, of course, making the little character stills I have in the background that my character sits in, but also was the camera woman for those live action segments. Thank you to Bodske on DeviantArt for the PNG of Itsuki that in his DeviantArt bio said is free to use. Thank you. It was useful because not many people are making PNGs of Itsuki. I don't know why. And thank you to the Strategy Wiki and Brown Derby from the Strategy Wiki because I took all of those graphics on the inputs for all the moves from the Strategy Wiki, and Brown Derby made the whole page for this game. So thank you. Those were very useful. That's it. If you enjoyed, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Thank you.